by calling him some sort of racist or some sort of genocidal maniac. The man never committed any sorts of genocide at all.
We're all familiar with and enjoy to watch these videos of college students getting owned after they drop their, let's say, less than intelligent takes on the college campus. But how about professors? I don't know about you guys, but I find those much more enjoyable. After all, they're the ones indoctrinating the kids, so they have culpability there that they really ought to be held accountable for. In theory, they're much more intelligent than the students, although maybe that's questionable. You might see what I'm saying in a moment. And three, kind of in theory thing, but they're on an equal playing field with, in this case, Michael Knowles, with the conservative speaker who comes to the college campus. It's more of a fair match intellectually. So we're gonna see a great video of Michael Knowles absolutely sticking it to this crazed college professor. But first, guys, please make sure you like our video, comment, and subscribe to the Resist the Mainstream YouTube channel. I'm your host, Darian, and let's get into the video.
I'm a full-time professor here. I also am Italian-American, and I happen to agree with the protester in the back.
Well, I have to say, as a professor, that you would come. I really appreciate that, because I know students come out a lot, but professors don't always come out to hear opposing points of view, so that's a wonderful thing.
It's my duty.
Okay. This is duty. Hard.
But
I've left you speechless.
I've
dazzled you.
Thank you. In 1492, before a racist and genocider came to this land, there were people living here. Every inch of this land was occupied.
Just as a matter of history, not every inch of the land was occupied. There were huge areas that were completely wilderness.
I was quiet the entire time you spoke. Those people still exist. The North American indigenous people, Central and South American, they're still here.
They exist.
And I would like to know how you can say that they have no ancestral claim to this land, and that as a white person, you can say that they cannot migrate freely and cannot use the land freely that they rightfully own and have for thousands of years.
Well, Mike, I'd like you to be more specific. Which people specifically and which land specifically? Because there were lots of different peoples in the northern and southern, in North America and South America at the arrival of Christopher Columbus. So which people do you think have a claim to which land?
I'm talking about the Native Americans.
But there were many different Native American
tribes. Would you
tribes.
like me to name all the tribes?
Yes, and I'd like you to name, and the reason I would like you to name all the tribes is because there were many tribes who conquered many other tribes. So just as an example, thank you. Just as an example, the Comanche Indians come in and they conquer areas run by the Apache Indians. Now the United States comes in and it owns that land. To which tribe should that revert? To which tribe should that land revert? The Comanche who had it before us, or the Apache who had it before them? Moreover, for the people who still exist, you're referring to Christopher Columbus in an ahistorical way by calling him some sort of racist or some sort of genocidal maniac. The man never committed any sorts of genocide at all, and he was actually known among the Spanish explorers for his good treatment of the natives. That point is neither here nor there.
A couple of quick things here. So Knowles' points were very good. Something I wish Knowles asked the professor, however, was, well, sir, are you going to give up your land, the ancestral land you've stolen from the natives? Are you going to give it up to them? As in your house, your bedroom, heck, even a spare bedroom, right? Because the professor claimed he was Italian, so he's obviously not indigenous according to his own account. And he's living on stolen land, according to his own opinion. So he should give up his house. Fair question, right? I would love to see what he would answer if Knowles asked him that. Let's keep going.
And I encourage people to read biographies of Christopher Columbus because there's a lot of historical fiction out there. The point on that is that when the Spanish came to this country, and to this continent, they did create a new race known as Latinos. This is a mixture of Spaniards and Native American populations. So if we are going to revert certain land to native populations, why would we not then immediately take that land away from them because they also descend from Spanish explorers? In what sort of atomized way would you define your own race, your own identity? I think this is a very backwards and ultimately impossible view of personal identity that puts your stock in some particular ancestor rather than something that is larger than yourself. I think it's a madness of the modern left, and it leads to crazy policy proposals, such as saying that somebody who descends from a native population in Colombia has a right to move to any apartment he wants to in New York because of race or something.
Real quick, that example Knowles just mentioned about the crazy policy ideas, we're already seeing that today. In terms of indigenous or, American Indian, native, whatever you want to call them, I'm not sure that we have, although they do get a lot of welfare in tribal lands. We've had bills passed in California and New York, for example, or at least get proposed, where they're talking about paying out massive sums of money in so-called reparations for black people because of slavery. So that does exist in the current day, and it's crazy. And, just real quick to go back to that, I want to touch on what Knowles said about Columbus and this historical revisionism surrounding him. Christopher Columbus, the infamous explorer, he shouldn't be infamous, the famous explorer, I should say, who's been turned infamous by modern leftist craziness. Columbus was actually a pretty good guy, especially by the standards of back then. People say, oh, he was this evil genocider who killed natives and butchered them like they were flies. Columbus famously adopted an indigenous son and raised him as his own. Bet you didn't hear that in public school. I know I didn't. Point being, so much of what we've been taught is a lie. And it's very important to recognize that, because so many of these false left-wing premises that come up are based on historical revisionism and often just lies of history. So that's a good thing to keep in mind. Let's keep going.
We can certainly have a response.
Thank you for not answering my question, and in the future,
I think I did answer you. How specifically could I answer your question?
If you could not lower the microphone until the person's done speaking, I think that'd be better for everyone. Thank you. That's all.
So you were done speaking. All right. I think the gentleman did just fine then.
What a jerk. Wow, that was something. I mean, that little tidbit at the end with the kid looked like he was raising it, so I don't know what his problem was. He also doesn't own the mic. It's personal, private property, so he can get over it. But that aside, it's always that same typical leftist strategy they hold. And remember earlier I mentioned how, in theory, a professor should be on a level playing field with the speaker who's coming to talk and be able to engage with them more intellectually and in a stronger manner than, say, a student with an opposing view would? Apparently not, because there were two really key things I noticed with that professor. One was when Knowles said to him, okay, can you name the tribes who deserve their land back? Tell me who and why. And the professor goes, yeah, I'm not going to do that. It was kind of hard to catch, but he said that, very sarcastically. And all I can think is, dude, you're the one saying that we're on stolen land. You better prove it. If you're going to tell me we have to make up for this, or atone, or the white guilt, whatever angle he's trying to get at, well, you better be able to explain yourself. I think that's a very fair thing to ask. So that leftist strategy of just duck and cover that he also exhibited, it's hilarious. It's the same thing every time. Someone makes a decent point, they don't like the point, so they insult them, and then they run away. You'll see this all the time. Trust me, pay attention, you'll see what I mean, if you already haven't. Many of you probably have, because we got a lot of smart, cool viewers here. So that wraps it up for the video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We look very much forward to seeing you next time. Please be sure to comment below, tell us what you liked, what you want to see next, and we'll see you guys again soon. Thanks, and God bless.